I'm hoping that we have got connection, because constantly down here it is OBS Studio disconnected, OBS Studio reconnected, and it's going back and forth. I noticed someone said there was a pause in the intro, so goodness knows what's going to happen next. But I'm hoping, yeah, it does keep stopping and starting, Dorothy. It's to do with the system we're using. We're using OBS, and for some reason it's switching in and out on my computer tonight. But I'm hoping it's working at the moment. Please let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me. And if Caroline's looking a bit strange, don't worry, that's not a problem with your laptop or your TV screen. Yeah, bit glitchy. Well, hopefully it'll hold together. If not, if I suddenly disappear, Happy New Year to everyone. Because, well, I tell you what, it's been chaos. Since we got back, it's been crazy year, and hearing and seeing you okay, all loud and clear. Oh, well, that's something. But as I say, I'm sorry if we get any glitches, but it just keeps going ding and flashing up a sign saying you've been disconnected, then reconnected. It's not YouTube, it's OBS on my computer is having a funny half hour. So let's hope it all works out. But as I say, Caroline is fine. She's not with me tonight. It's more logistics than anything else. Simply a case that she couldn't make it. But she did send her replacement, which is the case of her cello. Because as some of you have already guessed, Caroline went on a road trip this week. That's why we weren't around on the weekend last week. We went on a road trip over to Doncaster in order to collect a cello, because Caroline's decided this year she's going to learn the cello. And as I say, she decided that she couldn't be her herself, that I should have a replacement. So wearing Caroline's summer hat, even though, as many of you have commented, it's not quite summer at the moment. I did see that Mike was mentioned he was enjoying the ride on the countdown. So hopefully that reminded everyone who is not in the midst of sunny weather, not naming any names, those of our friends on the other end of the world. But those who are not having sunny weather, hopefully that's giving you a bit of a reminder of what it's like when the weather's good. But of course, we've had all sorts. And I must say our thoughts are with all those who are affected at the moment by extreme weather and, of course, by the terrible scenes we've seen from America and LA with the fires. I trust that none of you are directly affected by that, but our thoughts and prayers are with all those who are. But one thing I do know is that when I get to the top and check the first 3 in, I'm not going to find Lexi B. Now, very often Lexi's amongst the first in, but I know Lexi put up a notice saying just got in, which I'm assuming. I haven't been able to read the chat since then because obviously we've gone live, but I'm assuming, Lexi, you've just come back in from seeing Mum. I don't know what the situation is at the moment there. I know yesterday you mentioned in the chat that she was in an isolation room because of a cross-infection, which of course is a massive problem in the hospitals at the moment, and that it wasn't a room with a view, shall we say. So just hoping things work out there. But it's great to have you with us anyway, and please give Mum our love. So let's have a look. If I know Lexi isn't there, I wonder who is. Is it going to be some of the usual suspects? Well, Bonnie Tyler fan 34 has come in at the top. There we go. First in tonight. Of course, we've got... I'm on the out of time screen now. I'm on the actual screen that's showing me all the gizmos because I've got to operate it tonight. So I just got to get used to where the chat is. Then, after Bonnie Tyler fan, we've got Anne Goodwin. And straight behind Anne Goodwin, pipping the crafty caravanners to the post, it's Rachel Bailey. So Rachel, you came in third, just pushing the crafty campervanners into fourth. So that's our first 3 in tonight, but it's great to see so many. It's lovely to see all the chat that's going on between you all. And as I say, keep chatting to one another. I will try to keep an eye on the chat. If there's something you really want to catch my eye with, please put lots of smiley faces and capitals or whatever. I won't think you're shouting at me. It's purely a case of I can't multitask. It's a miracle we get through the hour when I'm in charge. But of course, if all else fails, I will defer to my assistant in the black case. But as I say, yeah, Caroline this year has decided that she hasn't got enough things going on in her world, so she's going to become a cellist. And she's already started practicing on her cello. So that was an interesting ride. And of course, anybody who caught it out on Facebook and Ko-fi will have had the subtle clue, because as I was taping that, Caroline was driving through the snow as it decided to snow when we were trying to get to Doncaster. As we were driving through the snow, of course, on the back seat there was a subtle clue, because you could see half of this case. So it kind of said it certainly wasn't a violin or a viola. So that's Caroline's news. I've got something new as well. My sign up behind me here, which says Dad's Bottle Shop. That was a gift of my youngest and their husband. They sent me that. That's Joe and Ali. And that's a homemade gift for me to put down my shed next time I'm down there, because they heard I was selling bottles, so they decided I should have a sign to go with it. So I got a brightly coloured Dad's Bottle Shop up on the shelf. The only reason Mankey is even on screen tonight is because Caroline isn't here, because he's been a little monkey. As you can see, he is stinking dirty. He is absolutely ponking. While we were away, we managed to get a couple of hours with Tom. He took us to an amazing location, but boy, that is the most difficult and I think the most dangerous climb we've made in order to try and get to a location. He didn't think we could make it. He asked others who know us if they thought we could make it, and they said they didn't think we could make it. But as you can see, well, at least I'm here, and take my word for it, Caroline is fine, but we were thoroughly exhausted by the end of it, I can assure you. But we had a great time for a couple of hours. We were able to make a couple of videos, and we'll be sharing those with you very soon. But what must we do next? Error, YouTube is not something. What's going on now? Well, nobody's saying that I've gone off, but I've got an error notice now. It's got a yellow error notice. YouTube is not something or other, and I haven't got a clue what it's not doing. Oh, hello, Tom. Thank you very much, sir. That is so kind of you. £10 off, Mr. Tom Burley. What a lovely, generous man. Not only does he share his time with us and almost kill us in the process, but he offers us gifts as well. And we've actually got a couple of bits and pieces that Tom gave us. Some of mine were edible. So I must confess, edibles is 1 bar of Yorkie out of the 6. And the Toblerone has completely bitten the dust. So the edibles are gone, but we will share with you, perhaps, if not in a video, in mail time here, over the next week or two, some of the items that Tom gave us. And I've got 1 or 2 things there as well that I'll be able to pass on to others, particularly to Rachel, because I know Rachel is waiting for something in particular that Tom was hoping to give us. So Rachel, good news for you, there'll be something on its way quite soon. Well, nobody's saying they can't hear me. Nobody's saying that I've disappeared. So why YouTube are giving me yellow notices? I think they're just trying to scare me. That's what I think. I think they're trying to frighten me. But we're going to go with it. And if I can find the question... Oh, have we got one? Now then, have I got a question? Yes, I have. Aha. I've got a question time jingle. So shall we go in for the first question, folks? Because I can even now hear Caroline behind me saying, oi, it's 10 minutes and you haven't done a question. So let's get the first question underway. There we go. Okay, as is so often the case, the questions are linked to the video, sometime loosely, sometime directly. This one is directly because it's linked to a particular find. You may have noticed in the video that I was quite excited to find this bottle, even though it was a screw top, because it had written on it something that I don't recall finding before. Now that's not a guarantee I haven't found it before. After all, I've recently celebrated my 64th birthday, so I am now well in the zone to have a good excuse for the bad memory that I have had for my entire life. But I can't recall seeing it before. And this particular bottle contained something that was thick. And we know it was thick because it says it was thick on the bottle. Thick what was in this bottle? Was it A, thick sauce, B, thick relish, or C, thick syrup? Go! What do you think, folks? Have a go at that one. Do you think this bottle held A, thick sauce, B, thick relish, or C, thick syrup? Because it definitely had something thick in it. It was definitely made up in Yorkshire. So let's have a look at the answers coming in. Oh, they're flooded in now. That's great to see people taking part in the quiz. I don't feel so alone now because there's hundreds of answers. Well, not quite hundreds because there's only 39 in the room at the moment. But there's lots of answers. I think everybody's having a go tonight. So I've got to get back up to the top of all these to find out who came in first. Ooh, 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 ooh. There we go. Well, fair play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6 first answers were correct. Obviously, you were all listening because there on the bottle it says Yorkshire relish, and on the bottom it says thick. Yorkshire relish, thick. And the first correct answer, and hats off to them because they wrote the entire phrase Yorkshire relish and still got in first, Tina Thompson. There we go. Tina, you get our first gold podium of the night. Next to Tina with a B is Sharon Paget. And then Lexi B, Lexi's Larks and Crafts came in next. Again, right in Yorkshire relish. And as I say, the top 6 were right because Tom Burley got it, Crafty Campervan has got it, Jen W got it, and loads of others after that. But the top 6, it got to number 7 before somebody went with sauce. So there we go. Tina, you got gold. Sharon, you've got the silver. And Lexi, congratulations on the bronze. Yeah, Yorkshire relish, thick. And although it's a screw top, it got home with us. And as you could tell, that video was shot a little while ago, and I still have it. In fact, I only cleaned it less than an hour ago because life gets so busy here that the fines come back. They get stored in the garage, then they get washed for the program, and then they go down to the shed. That's the way it works. So when something gets held back, and then when we don't do a live show, so then I end up with a stockpile. And at the moment, the passageway to the washing machine is getting narrower by the day. But we'll get that sorted. So there we are, folks. Quite a lot of you got that correct. Yorkshire relish. Now, one of the things we found on this particular trip was little bottles. We're always looking for small things so that we can bring them back with us. And we found quite a few little things this time. This is the bottle. This is the one that Caroline excavated from the mud. She went to pick it up and it was stuck. Oh, the mud on that hillside, it was like a grey mud and it had dried to like a powder form. But the suction on it, but now that I've cleaned it up, you know, you can see the age to it because you can still see the bubbles in the glass on there. There's little bubbles in the glass and impurities. And Caroline decided she was bringing that home because it's just a neat size and it didn't take too much room. Unlike the video I did previously with big finds that took an awful lot of room. And we have to consider room because we currently live in a rather large house for ourselves. It was a family home, and of course we had our family, and we keep considering that at some point in time perhaps we would downsize, ready for some form of relaxation and retirement. But then you need a room for the cello and piano, you need a room for Caroline's craft, and I've got a shed full. So if we have any expectation of ever making that move, I suppose we have to keep in mind small is beautiful, big is a pain. So this time we did rather well because we got quite a number of small items. But I don't know what's been happening where you are. I'm just going to have a quick look in the chat to make sure I'm not missing anything of any significance or importance. There we go. Let's have a look down. Oh, yo. Yeah, lots of people talking about Yorkshire relish. Lots of people congratulating those who won. Always fun to see the names that come up on top, but it's always great to see so many having a go and taking part. Here we are. There's a thank you of Rachel. I thought I'd seen my name come up somewhere there. Just didn't want to miss anything because, as I say, Caroline always says to me, look at the camera, don't look down there. And now I've got to look down there, look up there, look over there when you tells me off, look over here to do something else. So it gets quite complicated on times. But yeah, it's been a nice Christmas actually, and it's been a good New Year. We've had a good time over the New Year. We've had, because I think, gosh, was the last time we were with you on Christmas Day, was it? I think it was. You know, I'm losing track. I don't know whether we're coming or going. I tell you what, it's amazing how quickly January is going. We're still wishing everybody a happy New Year, but there's 11 days of it gone now. It's just, time seems to be flying by with everything that's happening. Here we are. My dad retired over 20 years ago, still works hard with volunteering for local disability centre and shop mobility. Yeah, Well, that's the thing. Retiring, I feel, I was saying this to Caroline earlier on, that retiring isn't about doing nothing. It's about being able to choose what you do the majority of the time. Because when you work, obviously you sleep for about a third of your time and you work for about a third of your time. So there's a significant amount of your time that's taken up, wrapped up in something that you don't have the control over fully. So I think that's the nice thing about retirement is you can plan for the things you'd like to do because there aren't so many things you have to do. But it's always a balancing game. And everybody has a different view on this. Caroline follows one of these retirement sites and people talk about considering retirement, wondering how to go about it, how much they need. And everybody's got a different perspective because, of course, the amount you need in order to retire is reflected by the amount you have previously experienced because you build your lifestyle according to what is available to you. So it varies for everybody. But I think that in most of us, not all of us, I've met people who are happy to work. I did a service just this week for a chap who worked till he was 74 and only retired then in order that he could look after his wife who was taken ill. So it's not everyone wants to retire, but I'd like to. And I'd like to spend time doing some other things. I've got some ideas and projects that I love to do. But what I find is there's never the time. So, but most people say, well, I don't know how I ever managed to go to work because since I've retired, I still haven't got 5 minutes to myself. Yeah, a few other people mentioned there about different folks at different ages. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I've got 2 pieces of happy news tonight, and they are both somewhat Christmas related. So let's have the first one of those. Right. This one comes under the title of Better Late Than Never Christmas Gift. A 53-year-old man was tearing down some old drywall this holiday season when he stumbled upon a time capsule. It was a Christmas present wrapped 46 years ago in vintage Disney paper. Tim King, who was helping his parents with some home renovations when he found it, said, "When I pulled that out, it was super old wrapping paper. And then I was like, oh wow, it's got my name on it." According to Tim's best guess, it must have fallen through a gap in the wall or floor as they used to hide the Christmas presents up in the attic above that part of the house. Underneath the yellowed wrapping paper was a set of Matchbox Thunderjets, which Tim said would have been a great gift since he was 6 when they were bought. And I thought that was a lovely story, you know, that how many years was it later? 46 years later, he was knocking down a wall and finds a Christmas present that was intended for him. As I read the story, his parents couldn't remember when they bought it or what was in it and how it got there. There was no intention for it to be there. But it's nice that after all those years, he's there helping his aged parents out, doing a little bit of work for them because he's in the construction industry himself. And lo and behold, as he pulls the wall apart, there's the ancient gift. And I thought, nice little story. Nice little Christmas related story. A bit of happy news in amongst everything else that's going on in our world. So what's been happening with all of you? Is there much going on? Yeah, the wrapping paper was cool. There were pictures on the internet and Shannon saying she saw it on the news and it was super cool. First thing Carly says when she sees things like that, I said, oh, get a couple of bob for that on eBay, because it was proper vintage Disney wrapping paper, as you can imagine, that they were producing nearly 50 years ago. So it was good. Yeah. So what Christmas presents has everybody had this year? Because I've had my sign, along with, I had, of course I get Christmas and birthday presents. So I had some working gloves. I had a pair of super duper goggles to protect my eyes when I'm doing projects. And what else there? Oh, I had a Christmas pudding. And I had a book. Yes, I had a book. And it is a book of poetry. And the poems have been chosen by Len McCluskey and Jeremy Corbyn. And one of my children decided that's the sort of book they thought I'd like. So I am currently reading poetry selected by Len McCluskey, who is a very well-known union man and union leader, and Jeremy Corbyn, who was the leader of the Labour Party in our country. And they've chosen poems and explained why they like them and how they feel they feed into their philosophy. So, yeah, I got that. Beata was in the UK for Christmas and New Year. My husband got a fruitcake. There we go. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can stop this running down and see what else is being said. Got to meet some awesome people. Happy New Year's. Went mudlarking with them. Oh, you were such a smarmy man, Tom. I had eye surgery. Which went really well. Oh, well, I'm glad it's gone really well. That's excellent news, then. Sharon's mentioning the fruitcake. Of course, like I said, I had a Christmas pudding, but I get a Christmas pudding off my youngest. I had the sign as well, but I get a Christmas pudding every year. They buy me one every year because I'm the only one who eats Christmas pudding in our house, so they buy me the miniature Christmas pudding. And I had one of those this year. Went to a friend's art show, opening today. Oh, that sounds interesting. Mr. Tom Burley, been to an art show? I assume that's up your neck of the woods, somewhere near where you are. You know, Lexi being humble as always. Rachel, I tend to get vouchers. Oh, there we are. Well, that means you get double gift, isn't it, Rachel? Because you get the vouchers, which is lovely to open the cards and find the vouchers inside. Then you get to buy exactly what you want. Which, it seems in your case, was a new handbag and extra storage pots for all my beads. Yes, of course. Rachel does some beautiful beadwork. You've seen examples of that in the gifts that we've had this Christmas and on previous occasions. Oh, this to jump about, doesn't it? I got Albreda Well said my daughter made me earrings and a necklace. Oh, nice. Very talented daughter. Making jewellery for you. Lexi's another one with the vouchers. Amazon vouchers. There we go. That means you can spend them without even having to go out of the house. New pots and pans. So Mike got new pots and pans and Lisa got a new watch. There we go. So did she buy you the pots and pans, mate? She's hoping that you're going to do some creative cooking for her now in the new year. There we go. Craft kits and clothing for Laura. Oh, Tina Thompson got a magnet fishing set. Whoa. Whatever you do with your magnet, keep it away from sheets of metal. We had a couple of close shaves. Once we got it stuck on a bridge. That wasn't funny. Another time he got stuck to the bottom of the car. Fortunately, I now drive a car that's 90% carbon fibre, so we haven't got that problem. So I quickly learned to make sure I kept the magnet in the original box with a piece of sponge in it so it didn't go stick into everything. But the one day, we went to lower it off a bridge, and as it went down, the magnetism pulled it in and it stuck on the girder. That was great fun, that was. But Caroline loves magnet fishing. But mind you, Caroline loved metal detecting. I didn't get on with magnet fishing or metal detecting. My boredom threshold is too low. Funnily enough, when we're out bottle hunting and on dumps and in rivers, perhaps it's because we tend to be moving and walking and seeing so much, then I take in what's around me as well as what we find. I enjoy that most, which is why we never intended to get into this, but we found ourselves falling into it because we actually started off metal detecting, and we did some magnet fishing in the early days. Half price Christmas cake from the garden centre. Hey Lexi, at the garden centre, half price is full price at Tesco's, isn't it? But you do get a nice cake. You do get a nice cake. We actually bought a Christmas cake, and we bought it earlier in the year when we were on a trip. And we went to Waitrose and bought a Christmas cake that was only about that big. It was about that big. If it was that big, it was probably that big. It looked that big in the box, but when you got it out, it was about that big. And we cut it in 4, and it didn't work out extremely cheap per slice, but boy, it tasted good. It did taste good. Sometimes you do get what you pay for, so we decided we'd go smaller and get something that was nicer. Very silent Christmas for Rita Mulberg. Yeah, Rita, it is. It's always the first of every occasion after you lose a loved one. It's always hard. And thoughts are with you as you've gone through the first Christmas without your late husband. It's never easy, but it's always more difficult on those firsts of everything, birthdays, anniversaries and Christmases. So, but I trust that although you had a quiet Christmas, there were those that you know and those who love you around you, because that's always a comfort as well. And have we got anybody else? Yeah, Lexi's picked up on that as well, saying that it's not always an easy and happy time for everyone. No, it's not. And while the message of Christmas can be so full of hope and joy, as you say, nothing stops the clock from turning, and life does happen to us all. And sometimes I know, because of the nature of the work I'm in, that I have had my busiest time in 2 years over the past 3 weeks. So that means I've been taking services for people who've lost loved ones from just before Christmas right over the New Year, and doing 5 or 6 a week because people are losing loved ones at this time. We often hear the figures in the hospitals are rising, but of course that then relates into losing loved ones as well. So yeah, our thoughts with everybody who's finding it hard at the moment and going through tough times. It was a strange 1 year, to be honest, because last year was the first Christmas without my brother, and then this year was the first Christmas without our mum, because we buried mum in September. And of course, because my big brother used to make Christmas for mum at her home last Christmas, because he wasn't there, we brought mum here. And when mum passed, the picture I put out of mum was her with us last Christmas, sat admiring the view on her chair. And yeah, it does bring home the reality, as well as the joy of seeing those who we love. It's also a time when it can heighten the realization of those that we miss. But here we go. So when you guys are in Doncaster, you should have popped across to Brig Garden Centre. It's the flagship store for the British Garden Centres chain, and they have a giant panda statue. Oh, well, that's something we didn't know. Saying that, mind, we weren't much into detours because of the condition of the roads. And of course, I was following the Google SatNav, and Google SatNav just goes by the time it's taking other drivers to do things. It's not necessarily got a clue what's going on the road. And we were going down this main road and he said, take a left. So I said to Caroline, take a left. She said, are you sure? I said, yep, take a left. And Google decided to take us off the main road and take a cut through diagonal. And under normal circumstances, Caroline is the queen of diagonals. Caroline loves to cut corners. Wherever we are, she takes the diagonal. I walk around the outside, Caroline takes the diagonal. If it means cutting across the lawn, as long as there's no sign saying she mustn't, she takes the diagonal. In the car park, Caroline takes the diagonal. This time I said, yep. Google took us on a diagonal. So instead of staying on the road that had been gritted and snow ploughed, we ended up driving on top of about 6 inches of compact snow as we went over a ridge, down a hill, round a bend and through an estate. So after that experience, I was just glad to arrive, put this in the car and make our journey back. Karen, I have to get a magnificent set. May I be dropped the boat keys in the water. Oh, my little brother just sent me a message from Portugal. He's been down there for 3 months. He's coming back now the end of the month, him and his wife. And he saw a round the world mini race for a particular style of yacht where everyone has built them from kits themselves. And he has decided, my little brother, that in 2029 he intends to have built the boat, taken the lessons, learned to sail, and he's going to go around the world. So there we go. Watch this space. Because when I read that, drop the keys to the boat over the side, I could imagine that happening in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, these guys and girls, they build their boats from a kit that costs is 300 odd quid for the plans, and you get all the stuff and you build the boat, and then they race against each other. They've done 2 transatlantic races already, and they're about to do their first around the world race, and he's hoping to take part. He does sail at the moment a little. He goes lobster fishing off the Scottish coast, and he's not a complete novice when it comes to boats, but when it comes to that kind of sailing, he's going to have to take a lot of lessons. So that should be interesting. Here we go. What have I missed there? We're also lucky to have a caring community. We all help each other heal. Thank you everyone for being here. Oh, that's well said, Mike. Well said. It's one of the things we love. It's one of the reasons that we keep showing up, and even on occasions when Caroline can't be here, I show up, is because it means so much to us to let this community in the chat come together, because it's amazing how many people we feel so close to who we've never met and probably will never meet. But it's lovely to feel that we can facilitate the opportunity for people to just be together. And at the moment it says concurrent viewers 43. 43 people plus couples, probably 60 people tonight, all being able to chat to one another, all because of bottles. Well, do you know what? I've done one question and we've used up over half an hour. Well. I'd better do another question. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be in trouble, because we'll never get them all done, and Caroline will think I've been talking too much. Righty-o, folks. Caroline picked up a brown bottle and held it up to the light, and she referred to it as a hip flask. Now, we quite often find flask-shaped bottles. Here's one that we picked up, which is quite a nice one because it's that sort of aqua colour. I don't know if it's going to pick up in the light there, but it's a nice aqua colour, that one is. And it's got, this one is dipped on both sides. Quite often they are rounded on one side and dipped on the other. But this one's dipped on both sides. And of course, the useful thing with them is they're quite easy to carry, because you can slip it in your pocket, and not only will it go in your pocket, But doing my research today, I realized that it was meant that you could carry it discreetly and it didn't show through your clothing. So that's the idea behind, and of course I just wear my inside pocket, but very often they call them a hip flask because you can slip it in your trouser pocket. But that's the flask shape that we're talking of. Then again, you can see, I hope, the bubble in that one. There's a bubble in the glass there. And I like the colour on that. So I've got a question for you regarding that style of bottle. The hip flask style of bottle has its origin with which of these groups of people? Which of these groups of people is it believed started the concept of what we now call and produce as the hip flask? Was it A, soldiers, B, huntsmen, or C, pilgrims? Go. What do you think, folks? What do you think? Do you think that the concept and the idea of a bottle you could conceal easily and carry with you, do you think that came from soldiers? That would be A. Huntsmen? That would be B. Or pilgrims? That would be C. Well, here we go. You could tell we haven't had a question for a while. Everybody's racing in. They're all excited to have a go here. Let's have a look what's happening. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Right. Right. Well, that is interesting. I'm pleased to say we do have a correct answer. In fact, we have at least 3 correct answers. I've just checked. But whereas last time the first 6 answers were correct, on this occasion the 10th answer is the first correct answer, because whilst the first 9 shared out between A and B, which was hunting, and they do use hip flasks in hunting, and soldiers, and they are a useful shape to be carried by the military, it's actually the origins come from the medieval times with the pilgrims as they journeyed to Palestine in order to carry water with them. So that's where the origins of the concept, of the idea of the hip flask first originated. So, who was the 10th answer? Colin Scott. 10th answer, gold podium. And then we got to jump over a few more and we'll find 2 in a row correct answers, and they are, I've lost them. Ah! Jason and Glenda. Jason S and Glenda Weiss. You have C and C. So it's Colin on gold, Jason on silver, Glenda on the bronze. And the Sandy Black was also correct. So I'll give you a shout out there, Sandy, because you were the only other correct answer, I believe. Yeah. Of course, as soon as you think of a hip flask, you think of alcohol. Because you think of alcohol, you may not think of the pilgrims. You could be wrong, because, of course, water was not safe to drink, which is why so many of the monasteries brewed ale in this country and wine on the continent, because, as the scriptures told them, take a little wine for your stomach's sake, because the water was quite often undrinkable. So, but whatever the fluid was, the concept of having, rather than a large container that you carried sort of to the table, something you could carry about your person, that was believed to begin with the pilgrims. Right, let's have the second piece of happy news so that I can get everything done in the next 17 minutes. Okay, folks. Doesn't time fly when you're enjoying yourself, eh? Right, here we go. This story comes under the heading, Elephants Love Christmas Trees. Elephants love Christmas trees. A zoo in England asked residents to donate their used Christmas trees to help enrich the lives of their residents, including the bears, elephants, and meerkats. Noah's Ark Zoo Farm in Bristol is now in its 5th year of asking for Christmas trees, which are often tossed into landfills following the conclusion of the holidays. So far, they've diverted 15,000 Christmas trees from contributing to landfill waste. But the real joy is the Christmas spirit it lends to their resident animals. The zoo's curator, Chris Wilkinson, said, "The trees make a real difference in the animals' lives. Some, like the elephants, like to eat them, while others, like the spectacled bears and rhinos, like to forage in between them. Still others like to rub up against the trees and enjoy the pine scent, while for smaller animals, they provide a paradise of play and exploration." Isn't that amazing? All those Christmas trees that simply get discarded after the Christmas season is over, somebody suddenly thought, hang on, bring them to the zoo. And in 5 years, they have shifted 15,000 trees, and ultimately they get climbed on, they get foraged between, they get eaten. So nothing's wasted, and the animals have a wonderful time. So a bit of Christmas joy for the elephants, the bears, the meerkats, and all sorts at the zoo. And I thought that was quite an original idea for using up Christmas trees. I know local authorities have begun to provide a facility where they could be composted, which is another good idea. But I thought, well, that was quite a novel idea. And I can imagine the children at the end of Christmas being really excited about taking the tree to the zoo and giving it to the animals to play with. You know, it extends that sense of the magic of Christmas for little ones, because in every way, I think Christmas is truly a season for the young when it comes to enjoying themselves. Okay, how are we doing here? Yeah, goats will eat Christmas trees. Yeah. My dad was chased by an elephant once when he was in the Air Force in Sri Lanka. Chased him and I think his friend through the jungle. Though. I tell you what, it does sound funny being chased by an elephant, but I knew a family who were missionaries in Africa, I believe, and elephants charged them, and it was touch and go because, well, in this country we've had fatalities when cows begin to run. Can you imagine elephants when they start stampeding? So if you live to tell the tale, then it's got that twist of humour, but must have been pretty scary at the time for your dad, Lexi, as he legged it and tried to get away. Yeah. Oh gosh, you're an unlucky family. Your grandmother nearly being bitten by a cobra, which was in a cooking pot. Wow. That's a dodgy lot you got there. It's lucky any of you survived. Okay, folks, let's do another question, shall we? Let's have a look here. Where's me question logo? I know I've got one. Okay, this one is related to a piece of something we found. It's a chunk of china. Now, we don't often bring chunks of china back these days as we've accumulated so much and haven't had the time to make full use of it. But this particular chunk of china we brought back because it had that little rhyme on it there. Mary had a little lamb, his fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. This little character, which at first, in all the dirt, Caroline thought may have been a Chinese character because of the hat, and then, of course, as she wiped it, she realised it was on a child's plate. And that plate is made by Phoenix Ware, made in England. So I have a question related to that little rhyme. The poem Mary Had a Little Lamb was written by Sarah Hale and published in 1823 in her book Poetry for Children. The poem is said to be based on an incident in the life of Mary Sawyer, who took her lamb to school, and as a result of that event and the rhyme that came from it, there is now a statue to Mary Sawyer and her lamb in Stirling. But the question I want to know is, which inventor made this rhyme famous? Which inventor made this rhyme famous? Was it A, Alexander Bell, B, Thomas Edison, or C, Samuel Morse? Go. Right, let's have a look. So what are you thinking, folks? Do you think it was Alexander Bell? Or do you think that would be A, B, Thomas Edison, or C, Samuel Morse? Which of the three do you think did something that made this little rhyme famous? Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Oh, let's go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Right. Oh, we seem to have lots of A's and B's early on. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, if you went A or B, then some of you are correct, because it's not C. It's not Samuel Morse, the inventor of the Morse code. So, is it the man who invented the gramophone or the man who invented the telephone? What do you think? Let's have a look then. Well, I can put you out of your misery, folks, and tell you it was not Alexander Bell. It was Thomas Edison. And the reason he made it famous, it was the first recording, I've got to be careful how I say this, of a voice, human voice, speaking English. And the reason I say that is because they have discovered a recording earlier made by a Frenchman, so therefore he recorded something in French. But this is the recording that Edison made, and that was in English, and it was Mary Had a Little Lamb. Hold on a second, don't go away. My computer's about to die. We haven't plugged it in. I've just got to get the cable. Hang on, folks. I will be back. Talk to the cello case, and all will be well. Right, I'm back. Are you still there? Oh, don't go away, don't go away. I'll be there now. Oh. I can plug this in before you all disappear. Hooray! Oh, that was close, folks. That was close. I thought we'd had it then, because up came the thing. Battery gone. You're about to shut down. Okay, so as I say, it was Thomas Edison, and they asked him, why did you choose Mary Had a Little Lamb? And he came up with ever such a wise and honest answer. It was the only thing I could think of at the time. So there we go. Let's have a look. Who was the first person with a B? It was the first answer in, actually, from the West Country Mudlarks. Lovely to have the West Country Mudlarks with us tonight. Fantastic, lovely couple, fantastic channel. B, you've got the Bailey. You're on as well because you've got the silver. And then we got to go down, down, down a little bit. And we come to the Crafty Campervanners. Another lovely couple with a great channel. There we go. Of course, Crafty Campervanners, they've been busily building a camper van. You know, that's a challenge, isn't it? All these people doing all these creative things. They've got a little brother building a boat, and we've got Pete and Kaz building a camper van. Oh, it makes me feel quite tired just watching you all, keeping busy. So there we go. So it was West Country Mudlarks, followed by Rachel Bailey, followed by Crafty Campervanners. That's the order of the event there. Now, we've got another question to go with another find. And that is this find here. Now, Caroline thinks this is off a clock. See, it's got a beveled edge to it. It's totally flat. It's not rounded, which sometimes they are, but then there seems to be a circle there as if perhaps the hand has rubbed against it. So perhaps it loaded into the front of a clock and the beveled edge made it come into the wood from behind, sort of thing. But she thinks it's probably from a clock face. And I did notice that Crafty Camper was asking earlier on, I wonder what Caroline will do with that. And I'm not sure what her plans are, but what I plan to do is ask you a question which is linked to that particular find. Okay, folks, Caroline found this glass off a clock face, but the clock as we recognize it is relatively modern. Because while the earliest medieval European clockmakers were monks, and the first recorded clock was built by the future Pope Sylvester II around 996, it took a while before anyone actually invented the minute hand. When was the minute hand invented? So the first recorded clock, 996. Do you think the minute hand was invented in A, 1277, B, 1577, or C, 1777? Go! So I'll give you a clue. It definitely ends with 77. So in 996, a future pope built the first recorded clock, mechanical clock as we understand it. But it still took a while before anyone invented the idea of a minute hand. So you'd have your hour, but then you just have to mark in between. And then somebody got the idea, well, if we've got a minute hand, we can be far more precise. And it was all about precision. That was the goal. Today we've got computer technology, we're flying people off to around the moon, and we're living in space, and we're planning to go to Mars. But a few hundred years ago, we were just trying to get accurate timing so that we could, particularly with regards to navigation, and the other thing that drove it and drove the concept of the minute hand was astronomy, being able to study the stars and get your timings right. So what do you think? Do you think it was 1277, 1577, or 1777 that they invented the minute hand? Whoa, lots of people having a go at this one. Ooh. Now, Tom Burley seems to have written 1511, which means that Tom thinks I got it wrong, and maybe I did. Maybe I've got it wrong, but I didn't give that as an option, did I? You got me thinking now, Tom. I've been trying to do too much today, have I? And I've written it down wrong. But I can tell you that the correct answer on my sheet is 1577, and my apologies if I've written it down wrong and it should have been 1511. But if I look down the page to find out who went for the 1500s, it's because it's definitely going to be the closest answer anyway. Then if we give Tom Burley an honorary gold for the moment, as he doesn't tend to make mistakes on these things, then we come down to Ribble Finds and Crafts, who can share the gold with him because he's gone B. Beata Hines gets silver, they've gone B. And then Bonnie Tyler Fan 34 has also gone B. So there we go. Right. Now it comes to that moment where we ask the question that always causes mayhem. Yes, Mankey, as dusty and dirty as he's looking up there, did appear numerous times in this week's video. Sound is cutting off and on. I think I did have another yellow sign up from YouTube. So I got I got it wrong. I just went with First Modern Clock, a spring-driven mechanism. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Tom. There we go. So we're okay. Well, I don't mind you sharing the gold position, even if you did get it wrong, mate. So here we go. How many times? We've got 1 minute to do this and we'll finish on time. How many times did you see Mankey in this week's video? Go. We've got quite a spread of answers this week, and I know it's going to prove controversial. Ooh, yes. Okay, folks. The answer is 6. 6. So, the first correct answer coming in is Crafty Campervaners, followed by Ed Creative, who admits it was a guess, and Ian Davis. And Ribble Finds and Craft can't fault you in as much as you got, let me just double check now, 7 3 times plus 1 on the thumbnail. 07, yep. On the branch 021, yep. 502, yep. 525, yep. 1336, yep. 1424, correct. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the thumbnail obviously isn't in the video. So you've got the 6. So therefore, but you also added the 1 for the thumbnail. So Ribble Finds and Craft is smack on. But give us the thumbnail as well, because yes, Mankey this week was in the thumbnail as well. So there we go. Ribble Finds and Crafts got the exact number of times plus the thumbnail. So Crafty Campervaners, Ribble Finds and Crafts, Ed Creative, and there's a few more 6s in there as well. Ian, well done, folks. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. Sorry it was only myself. Hope you've enjoyed the hour. Thank you for being so kind to each other. That's what makes this special. And all I have to say now is till the next time, have fun. Bye.